Good morning, this is your AI host, Jay. I'm here with the automatically generated, Journato, morning headlines on November 2, 2022. Russia's Wagner Group have as much power in Kremlin as ministers. The Guardian, Russia's Wagner facing UK court action over Ukraine terrorism. France 24 English, Wagner Group chief takes his orders from Putin, says oligarch. The Times, Putin's mercenary Wagner Group who terrorized Ukrainians could face seizure of UK-linked assets. iNews, Live, Britain's Foreign Affairs Committee takes evidence from Mikhail Khodorkovsky. Russia-Ukraine war at a glance, what we know on day 252 of the invasion. The Guardian, Russia-Ukraine war latest, Zelensky demands long-term protection for grain export corridor. The Telegraph, Russia-Ukraine war, list of key events, day 251. Al Jazeera English, Russia-Ukraine war at a glance, what we know on day 251 of the invasion. The Guardian, live updates, latest news from Russia and the war in Ukraine. Trump News, live, Supreme Court shields Trump tax returns but lifts hold on Lindsey Graham Georgia testimony. Russia-Ukraine war live, Kyiv sets up heating points across city in wake of infrastructure attacks. The Guardian, Ukrainian civilians and troops speak of horror and hardship of Russia's war, BBC News. BBC News, Ukraine-Russia war, live, Putin's attacks on energy infrastructure amount to war crimes. The Independent, power, water restored in Kyiv after Russian strikes. France 24 English, how Ukraine's power and water supply is coping with Russian missile strikes, BBC News. What's next for Boris Johnson? Key moments from in-depth interview with the former PM. Sky News, President Putin dare not risk a nuclear strike in Ukraine, says Boris Johnson. The Times, Foreign Secretary warns of severe consequences if Russia uses nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Daily Record, Boris Johnson says Vladimir Putin would be crazy to use tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine. Sky News, Johnson suspects Putin will not resort to nuclear strike in war with Ukraine. First calls to police made 4 hours before Seoul Halloween crush turned deadly. Sky News, police called hours before Seoul Halloween crush, BBC News. BBC News, Seoul Halloween crowd crush, families identify personal belongings of victims. CNA, Seoul Halloween crowd crush is test for South Korea's Yoon Suk-yeol. Bloomberg, Itaewon crush, first emergency call came hours before crush. Bolsonaro breaks election silence but refuses to recognize Lula's victory. The Guardian, Bolsonaro breaks silence after defeat in Brazil election, BBC News. BBC News, Bolsonaro ends silence without publicly conceding. BBC.com, I am Lula's lawyer. This is what I can tell you about the man who always deserved to be president. The Independent, the serious challenges facing Lula in. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.